Hello, hello, hello. So magandang hapon sa inyo. So ito, balik ulit tayo sa discussions natin after natin sa after ng Christmas break kasi pinost ko to during the Christmas break. So, for the 1 week, siyempre nag-rest ako. Siyempre kailangan natin magpahinga, di ba? So yun. So ngayon, balik tayo ulit sa trabaho. Kasi by Monday, sa January 4, pagbalik ka ng klase, well, magkakaroon tayo ng long quiz. 50 items lang naman or baka 30, 40 items. Ang coverage is Title 1 to Title 5. So, that's general provisions to the bylaws. So, wala naman tayong problema dyan. So, but as I have said sa last sa last discussion natin, paspasa na tayo ngayon kasi we will only discuss the important parts ng ating corporation code. So, pero don't worry so much about it, lalo na pagdating nyo sa review kasi hindi naman siya ganun kahirap pagdating sa corporation code. Mas mahirapan kayo pagdating sa mga special laws, mga additional laws na ituturo sa inyo kasi doon pa ituturo sa inyo if hindi maturo sa seminars na ibibigay sa inyo. Gaya ng, ito, ilang beses ko ito sinabi, di ba? Gaya ng mga general banking laws, insurance laws, intellectual property laws. Yan, mga important parts yan ng ating RFBT sa board exam. So anyways, with that in hand, siyempre, let us now start with our discussion for the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines, Republic Act Number 11232, Title 4, which refers to the powers of the corporation. So with that, let's start with Section 35 of Title 4. So Section 35 refers to the corporate powers and capacity. Dito, every corporation daw that is incorporated under the corporation code natin, yung bago, has the power and capacity which is enumerated dito into to be sued, perpetual existence, adopt, use a corporate seal, amend its article of incorporation in accordance with the provisions of the code, bylaws, as long as hindi contrary sa law, moral, or public policy, to amend in case of stock corporation, the right or the capacity to issue or sell stocks, obviously kasi stock corporation yan, and to sell treasury stocks in accordance with the provisions of the code, and to admit members to the corporation kapag naman non-stock. Ito naman si letter G, makikita nyo, parang ownership to kasi purchase, receive, take, grant, hold, convey, sell, lease, pledge, mortgage, and otherwise deal with such real and personal property, including securities and bonds of other corporations as transactions, etc., etc. Meron pa yun dito. To enter into partnership, joint venture, merger, consolidation, and any other commercial agreements with natural and juridical persons. Ito naman, make reasonable donations, establish pension, retirement, and other plans for the benefits of its director, trustees, officers, and employees. And lastly, to exercise daw such other powers as may be essential or necessary to carry out its purpose or purposes as stated in its articles or in the articles of incorporation. So yan, basahin niyo lang ulit. Yan si section 35. So, ano ba tong si section 35? Before that, let's talk about naman natin to, di ba? The salient points and remarks. Basically, ano yung mga naging changes under section 35 or under this section as comparatively or as compared to the old code, the Batas Pambansa Bilang number 68. Anong nangyari dito kay 11232? Now, itong new revised Corporation Code of the Philippines natin includes the power to have perpetual existence. Kasi 'di ba, as we have said, sa old code 50 years lang renewable. Pero ngayon, unless otherwise stated, may perpetual existence na ang isang corporation. So yan, dinagdag na dito. Saan yung nilagay dito? Ito, perpetual existence. Another change is that the power to enter a partnership and a joint venture. Kasi dati, sa corporation code natin, yung old corporation code, si BP 68, bawal pumasok ng general rule to, bawal pumasok ang isang corporation sa isang partnership. Bakit? Kasi basically, kapag pinasok mo ang corporation sa isang partnership, that corporation comes under the control of the other partners. Hindi na ng stockholders lamang or ng board of directors. It will be under the influence of the other partners kasi partners sa partnership eh. Yun yung reasoning dati bakit hindi pwedeng or generally hindi pwedeng pumasok si corporation sa isang partnership. Yung exception sa general rule na yun was to enter in a joint venture. Pero ngayon dito sa ating sa ating revised corporation code explicitly na expressly nang sinabi sana yun dito sana yun explicit na expressly nang pinayagan ang isang corporation na pumasok sa isang partnership and joint venture. Dati, bawal yan. Si partnership. So, yan. So, ito, the new code also remove the prohibition of any domestic corporation to make donation to a political party. Dito, no? Make reasonable donations, etc. etc. So, kasi dati prohibited yan eh kasi basically ang ginagawa mo dyan you're influencing eh, you're entering into politics. Kung sa Amerika tawag dyan lobbying, diba? Lobbying ang tawag dyan. Pero ngayon pinayagan na, pero for domestic corporations lang. Yung mga foreign corporations bawal. Pwede ang domestic for donations, political purpose, political party. Foreign corporations bawal pa rin. Ito, okay po. So yan yung mga salient changes, yung mga significant changes na nangyari under Section 35. Dati Section 36 siya, 35 na ngayon kasi 'di ba? If you can still remember sa previous discussion natin, may tinanggal na section. I think it was Section 13. Tinanggal siya. So, nag-move up yung numbering ng mga sections dito sa ating revised corporation code. So yan, we're talking about the power of the corporation. So ano ba tong meaning ng powers of a corporation? Kasi ito naman yung topic ng Section 35 eh. So accordingly, the term powers of a corporation refers to the right or capacity ng isang corporation para saan? To perform all acts or things except only those forbidden by law and its articles of incorporation in furtherance of its purpose or purposes. So yan yung meaning ng powers of the corporation. It gives the corporation the capacity para may gawin siya. Anong klase yung gagawin niya? Kahit ano, as long as may limitations. As long as hindi forbidden by law and it is within its articles of incorporation for the purpose of furtherance. In furtherance of its purpose or purposes. So yan yung powers, di ba? The capacity to act. The capacity to act, the powers of the corporation. Now, ito, distinguish lang. So, ano yung corporation sa franchise? Ano yung powers ng isang corporation as distinguished sa franchise? And as distinguished sa or differentiate sa objects. So, ito, the powers of the corporation must be distinguished from its primary franchise. Diba? Franchise yung pag-grant ng corporate existence sa isang corporation. Which is its right to exist as an entity, pero kontra ko dito sa right eh. Bakit? Being a corporation is not a right, it is a privilege. Oo, kasi if it is a right, then hindi mo na kailangan pang dumaan sa butas ng krayom para maka-create ng isang corporation. Kung right yan, kailangan mo dumaan sa butas ng karayom. So, privilege to exist yan. So, contradict ako dito sa right to exist. It is a privilege to exist. Kasi ang franchising granting yan Hindi yan right. Being a corporation is not a right, but rather a privilege. So, the privilege to exist as an entity for the purpose of doing things embraced within its power and permit secondary franchise. Oo, yan. Sir? Ano yung secondary franchise? Basically itong secondary franchise, yung primary franchise, yung example, yung grinanteng yung certificate of incorporation, yan basically yung primary franchise mo. Then if may gagawin ka pang additional acts, like for example investing, kailangan mo ng mga secondary franchise. Kasi if you can still remember, di ba meron yung scam dati na coins.ph ata yun or yung isa Yung mag-invest ka daw ng coins mo tapos dito sa corporation na to tapos mag-increase yung income mo. Nahuli siya ng SEC. Bakit? Yes, meron siyang primary franchise. Naka-register siya sa SEC. Meron siyang certificate of incorporation. Pero nahulihan siya na wala siyang secondary franchise. Na kung saan yung secondary franchise na yun will grant that corporation the right to perform such task yung investment na yun para para legally siya maka-perform ng investment na yun, to act sa investments na yun. Kaso wala siyang wala siyang secondary franchise. Ayun, hinuli siya ng SEC, nahuli siya ng SEC, ng Securities and Exchange Commission. So basically yun yung nature ng isang secondary franchise. But in this Device Corp Code, we're talking about the primary franchise. Oo, kasi yung secondary franchise medyo may specifics depende sa kung ano yung nature ng corporation. Like for example, yung example ko, the investment part. So anyways, within its powers and its secondary franchise, which is the right granted to an existing corporation to use public property for public use, yun. But with private profit, yun. Another example, using public property for public use. Ano bang example niyan? Ayun, yung tawag ito. Yung sa, anong tawag sa kanya? Mga telecommunication companies, yung mga TV stations, yung airwaves kasi, that is public property. So, kailangan nila ng franchise to use that public property for public use, pero kikita sila, private profit. Yan, yung airwaves na yan, public property as I've said. So, pangalawa, neither must its powers be confused with its objects or business. A corporation exercises its powers for the purpose of attaining those objects sa kanyang business. So, relative powers of natural persons, partnerships, and corporation. So, ito kino-compare daw kung ano yung pag-differentiate between the powers ng isang natural persons or ng partnerships and from a corporation. So, any act not prohibited. So, yung mga individual, they have absolute right to fully use, enjoy, and dispose of his properties, to perform all acts and to make all contracts without any control except when they are forbidden by the law. Like for example, may kotse ka, gusto mo sunugin. Good, sunugin mo basta wala ka lang lalabagin na batas. Pwede mo yung sunugin yung property mo, yung kotse mo. Property mo yan eh. Pwede mo yung sira-sirain. Pwede mo yung i-destroy. Bakit? Property mo yan eh. As long as wala kang nilalabag na batas, goods ka pa rin. Karapatan ng individual. And as we have discussed sa partnership, di ba? Basically, yung partnership, malaki yung leeway niyan eh. Leeway, yung freedom, kumbaga. As long as hindi labag sa batas, goods. And following some specific requirements, goods ka sa partnership. Pagdating kasi sa corporation, as we have discussed sa previous videos natin, medyo stringent yung batas natin kasi because of how influential they are to the public. Malaki kasing influence sila eh. So kailangan may control yung government over dyan in order to prevent any harmful effects coming from that influence on how much on that influence they have on the public. Now, pagdating sa corporation, dito sa number 2, only powers that are granted. Yun lang yung pwede nilang ma-exercise. On the other hand, the civil rights of a corporation are widely different. Under the doctrine of limited capacity adopted by a corporation law, section 2, a corporation has only such powers that are expressly granted and those that are necessarily implied from the expressly granted or those which are incidental to its existence. Yan yung doctrine of limited capacity. Now, without going to the next slide, dito pa lang, pagkabasa nyo dyan, makikita nyo na may tatlong classifications of powers meron ng isang corporation. Ano-ano yun? Ito, yung expressly granted, yung implied, necessary, implied, and yung incidental to its existence. Yan yung tatlong classifications ng powers ng isang corporation. Ito. those expressly granted or authorized by law, those conferred by the corporation code and its articles of incorporation, or yung charter, yung statute na nag-create sa special corporation na yun. Ito naman yung pangalawa, those that are necessary to the exercise of its exercise of its express or incidental powers. Ito yung implied, yung implied powers. And lastly, yung incidental to its existence. So don't worry, discuss natin to sa later slides kung ano-ano to sila and mga examples nila. So, determining whether an act or contract within scope for corporate powers. So ito, paano mo nalaman na may karapatan si corporation na gawin yung powers na yon? To act on that power. Ito, yung kailangan mong tingnan. Yung una, saan ang galing yung powers na yon? Ano yung sources? In determining whether a corporation has power to do an act, it is necessary to, first, tingnan mo muna yung special charter. Kung special law yung nag-create sa kanya, or tingnan mo yung kanyang articles of incorporation kapag it was incorporated under the general law, which is in our country, the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Tingnan mo dyan whether it is within the express, implied, or incidental powers yung power in question. Then, after that, you need to examine the statutes relating to corporation to see if the act is prohibited. Like for example, it is a yung corporation na yun is bangko. So, tingnan mo yung mga statutes in relation to that banking corporations. Ano yun? Yung general banking laws natin. Tingnan mo if those act in questions are prohibited. And lastly, in some cases, consult mo na yung general statutes. Tingnan mo if illegal, even in case of natural persons. Tingnan mo. So may dito, tingnan mo. May 3 steps tayo tinitingnan dito. Una, tingnan mo yung special charter, yung kanyang articles of incorporation. Kasi ito yung nag-create sa kanya. Pangalawa, tingnan mo yung mga statutes in relation to the corporation. Like for example, yung example natin, kapag banking corporation yan, edi tingnan mo yung general banking laws natin. And lastly, tingnan mo na yung general statutes. Now, express or implied grants of powers, unless the power to carry on particular businesses are expressly or impliedly conferred thereby, it does not exist. Kasi gaya na sabi natin dito, a corporation can only act on those powers that are granted to that corporation. Those powers, gaya na sabi natin, are expressly, those implied, and incidental to its existence. If wala dyan sa tatlo yung powers na yon, then the corporation cannot do that. O, di ba? Gaya na sabi natin, stringent, stricto ang batas natin pagdating sa mga corporations. So, ito, sa individuals and partnerships, basta hindi bawal sa batas with following some specific requirements, goods ka. Sa corporations, no. You can only exercise, express, implied, incidental powers. Ito, express powers explained. So ano ba tong express powers? So express powers, these are the powers that are expressly dyan, kitang-kita, conferred upon the corporation by law. These powers can be ascertained from the special law creating the corporation kapag special charter yan. Like yung, ito na-explain natin, di ba, kapag yung legislative body na mismo yung nag-create ng special charter, special law in order to create a corporation. Usually mga GOCC yan, yung GSIS, Social Security System, yan mga special laws yung nag-create yan, which in turn those special laws are their special charter. Now, kapag naman yung corporation was formed under a general incorporation law in our country, that's the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines, then from such law, the general laws of the land applicable to the corporation and its articles of incorporation. So yan yung mga express powers. Now, si Section 35 contains daw some enumerations of powers expressly given to corporations created under the General Incorporation Law. The express powers may be exercised by the corporation whether or not any such powers are stated in the Articles of Incorporation or bylaws or they are deemed vested in a corporation organized under the code. So ito, balikan natin yung Section 35. Ito. Expresso. Kasi Stated agad, oh. Klarong-klaro. Stated. Yung express powers na to, no? The right to sue and be sued. May perpetual existence, to adopt, corporate seal. Yan, no? Express. Kapag stock corporation ka, siyempre. Yan. Yan si express power. Klarong-klaro, expressly conferred. Ngayon, pagdating naman kay implied, ito naman yung mga powers which are reasonably necessary. Kailangan to execute the express powers and to accomplish or carry out the purpose for which the corporation was formed. So ito, section 35 daw, letter K. So ano tong si letter K? To exercise such power as may be essential or necessary to carry out its purpose or purposes as stated in the articles of incorporation. So dyan, implied. Na sir, stated dyan sir na bakit yan sir? Bakit hindi lang siya tinawag na express power? Listed naman siya dyan expressly listed siya. Huwag kang pilosopo. Sinabi lang yan dyan para klaro. So, nahilo na kayo sa pagpalit-palit ng slides. So yan. But take note, powers merely convenient or useful are not implied if they are not essential or necessary. Kasi yun yung requirement pagdating sa implied powers. Dapat reasonably necessary, dapat essential. Ibig sabihin, dapat kailangan. Pag hindi naman kailangan, edi hindi mo pwedeng gawing excuse yan or justifiable reason para i-classify yan as implied powers. Kasi may requirement. Kailangan, reasonably necessary, on and or essential. Ito, some examples ng implied powers para magkaroon kayo ng idea Kasi ito yung mahirap pagdating sa powers ng corporation. Paano malalaman na express yan? Paano mo madidistinguish yan? Ang express kasi, madali lang Stated yan Expressly conferred. Kaya nga express Ngayon, diyan magkakahirapan na pagdating sa ano yung implied powers, ano yung incidental. Ito, goods naman kasi nagbigay na ng example. Pero pagdating naman sa board exam, di naman yung powers yung tinatanong pagdating sa corporations. However, saan ito? Sometimes it is difficult to determine whether a certain activity is implied power or not. However, the following rough classification embraces most of the implied power. Ito, acts in the usual course of the business, gaya ng borrowing money, making ordinary contracts, so basahin na lang, etc., acquiring lands or biddings. It is evident that all of such acts under circumstances are necessary in order to run a business. Kasi kung titingnan nyo ito yung ginagawa ng mga business So since in this case, pag corporation ka, private corporation for profit, so you're running a business. So these powers are necessary in order for you to run your business. To acts to protect debts owing to corporation. So basahin niya lang to. Mga examples embarking in different business. Ito embarking in different business, hindi ka pwede kasi like for example, you're a corporation that was created for what? For construction. Hindi ka pwedeng magtayo ng business na kung saan restaurant. Hindi pwede yon kasi you're created for construction purposes Tapos magtatayo ka ng business for restaurant. Hindi pwede yon, pinagbabawal yon. Pero pwede kang mag-invest sa isang restaurant corporation. Bawal kang magtayo, magpatakbo, pero pwede kang mag-invest. So kaya may tinatawag tayong mga conglomerates, di ba? Yung mga big corporations, mga holdings. Kasi yung mga corporations na yan, maraming maraming galamay yan May fast food sila dito, may construction sila dito. Pero yung ginagawa nila doon is investing. They are not running the business, but rather they are investing. Kaya malalaki yan sila. Kasi bawal sa batas Sinabi na na magpatakbo ka na like example natin, construction yung charter mo. Yung sa articles of incorporation mo, pero magpapatayo ka ng restaurant, bawal yon. Pero pwede kang mag-invest. Kaya may mga conglomerates tayo, mga holdings. Particular kind, acts in wholly protect wholly to protect or aid employees. Ito, for the better views such as building homes, place of investment, hospital employees within the corporate power, syempre, para yan sa benefit ng corporation eh. Necessary. Kasi pag maganda yung maganda yung welfare ng employees mo, edi productive yan sila. Kapag productive yan sila, edi that's a direct influence sa performance ng corporation. So, incidental. It is implied because it is necessary or essential. Kasi, ang net effect niyan, goods para sa corporation. And lastly, acts to increase business. Ito mga marketing. Ito, express powers, distinguished from implied, basahin niyo na lang. Ito, incidental or inherent powers. So, incidental or inherent powers are powers which the corporation can exercise by mere fact of it being a corporation. So, ibig sabihin, rights of existence to. Or powers which are necessary to corporate existence and are therefore impliedly granted. So ito pa yung isa sa mga nakakahilo pagdating sa pagdating sa powers ng corporation, yung distinguishment between implied and incidental, kasi para silang magkapareho eh. Oo, para silang magkapareho. So as powers inherent in the corporation as a legal entity, they exist independently of the express powers. These incidental powers are expressly recognized under Section 2, yung doctrine of, Doctrine of, Doctrine of limited capacity. Some of the powers enumerated in Section 35 are incidental, which can be exercised by a corporation even in the absence of an express grant. So kahit na hindi stated sa Articles of Incorporation, the mere fact, basically ganito si incidental corporation. Kahit na hindi stated sa Articles of Incorporation, the mere fact that the corporation has corporate existence, it can still exercise such power by reason of its having a corporate existence. Yun lang yung basically pinipoint out ni incidental or inherent power. The mere fact that it has corporate existence, it can exercise incidental or inherent powers. Yan yung nagdi-differentiate sa kanya pagdating sa isang implied power. Bakit? Kasi itong si implied power, necessary, essential to execute the express powers. Necessary and or essential to execute express powers. Yan yung labot sa buhay ni implied powers. Pagdating kay incidental or inherent powers, the mere fact that the corporation has corporate existence, it can exercise incidental or inherent powers. Some of these examples, to sue and be sued, kahit na hindi na nakalagay sa Articles of Incorporation, etc., the mere fact na may corporate existence siya, the corporation can exercise that. Corporate name, kasi may may separate legal, separate juridical identity siya eh. So may karapatan siya magkaroon ng pangalan. Purchase of real property. Kasi may, gaya sabi din, corporate seal to contract to make bylaws, incidental, inherent, the mere fact na may corporate existence siya. So yan yung tandaan nyo pagdating kay incidental and inherent. Then ito, some notes, yung mga, some notes sa mga powers ng corporation, yung power to be sued and sued, power to adopt corporate seal, acquire, convey property, basahin nyo lang to. Shares. Okay. So now let's proceed to Section 36. Now, Section 36 provides for the power to extend or shorten corporate term. Now, as you can see here, this is express power. Kasi expressly sinabi dito sa corporation code natin that the corporation has the power to extend or shorten its corporate term. Ayan, additional note lang. So, ano sabi dito? So, a private corporation may extend or shorten shorten its term as stated sa kanyang articles of incorporation as long as it is approved by the majority vote ng board of directors or trustees, and then it is ratified or basically approved by the at a meeting by the stockholders or members representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stocks or members. Written notice talks about the written notice, proposed action, etc. etc. Parang additional requirements na lang to. So with that, ito basically talks about the power to extend and shorten. So ito salient points and remarks dito sa revised corporation code natin. Provides that extension of corporate term may be sent electronically. Itong written notice na to. Sana dito. Basahin yun, di ba? Postage share personally. Or when allowed in the bylaws or done with the consent of stockholders, sent electronically in accordance with the rules and regulations. So dati. Kasi di ba yung old corporation code natin was enacted noong 1980 pa. 1980 pa yung na-enacted. So hindi pa uso noon yung electronic data messages, mag-send ng send ng notices. Ngayon, siyempre enacted in 2019 to, February 2019. So pwede na. Pwede ka na allowable na yung paggamit ng electronic mediums para magpadala ng notices. So yan. So, the power to extend or shorten corporate term. So unlike what is stated in section 15, which governs for the amendment in general of articles of incorporation, pagdating sa amendment under section 36, must be taken at a meeting of the stockholders or members and upon a vote. Kasi etong si section 36, malaki yung effect niyan sa corporation eh. Bakit? Basically, we're talking about the existence, kung gaano tatagal yung isang corporation, yung kanyang corporate existence. So, hindi siya general amendment, but rather special amendment. Kasi we're talking about the corporate existence itself. Gaano ba katagal yung buhay ng isang corporation? So the effectivity of the amendment relates back to the date of its filing with the commission in case the latter fails to act within 6 months from the such date for a cost not attributable to the corporation. So itong 6 months na to basically, kapag nag-file ka na sa corporation, tapos ng amendment mo, tapos due to the incompetency or some problems within the commission, hindi nila na-act yung pag-file mo ng amendment, then after 6 months, kapag walang action galing sa commission, then automatic approve yan. Ganyan kasimple. Kasi detrimental yan sa buhay ng isang corporation na wala naman silang kasalanan Nag-file naman sila agad ng amendment, pero yung commission, yung SEC, walang ginawa. Hindi na act yung kanilang filing. So, sabi ng batas, after 6 months, walang action galing sa commission, sa SEC, then that is approved automatic. HATEM. So, ayan. Additional note lang, a voluntary dissolution of a corporation may be effected by amending the articles of incorporation to shorten the corporate term. Like for example, diba kasi dito sa ating new corporation code, sa revised corporation code, automatic na tawag dito? Anong word yung ginamit doon? Perpetual existence, diba? Automatic na perpetual existence yung buhay ng isang corporation, pero may choice pa rin yung corporation na kahit na automatic perpetual existence, pipiliin pa rin nila na may fix yung kanilang corporate existence. Pero tapos nag-decide sila, ay gusto ko nang tapusin tong relationship natin. So, pwede sila mag-amend ng tawag dito, pwede sila mag-amend to shorten the corporate term para magkaroon ng voluntary dissolution. Iklian na ganila. At this date, okay. At this later date, sooner, dissolve natin yung corporation, so enact nila yung corporate term doon. Extension corporate term, origin stated, etc. etc. Na ito, appraisal right of dissenting stockholder. As you will read here, in case of extension of corporate term, ibig sabihin, papahabain pa nila yung buhay ng corporation. Okay, for example, 25 years yung fixed corporate term. Nag-decide sila ni amend to perpetual existence. Then, in that case, that is an extension of the corporate term. So in that case, a dissenting stockholder, ilang beses natin na-mention si dissenting stockholder sa previous videos natin. A dissenting stockholder may exercise the right of appraisal under the conditions provided in this code. Later sections, basically, pag-usapan yan si dissenting stockholder, pero in the past videos natin, nabigay ko naman yung G's ng nature ng isang dissenting stockholder. So ito, addition. Tag dito. Ito, mention natin ulit. Section 36 grants for the appraisal right to a dissenting stockholder. It is a right of a stockholder in the cases provided by law to demand payment of the fair value of his shares in case of extension of corporate term, because such right should also be available to dissenting stockholder if the corporate term is certain as it expressly recognized in this code. Bakit? Kasi itong amendments na yan, pinahaba mo, or in this case, pinaikli mo, that might cause a detrimental or negative effect sa isang stockholder. Na, bakit yung pinahaba niyo yung buhay ng corporation? Or, bakit yung pinaikli ang buhay ng isang corporation natin? Payo ako niyan eh. So, may karapatan siyang umalis sa corporation. Tawag sa kanya, dissenting stockholder. Ayaw niya nung ginawang amendments or moves ng officers and directors ng corporation na yun. So, may karapatan siyang bawiin yung kanyang investment at umalis in the amount of fair value. Demand payment. Note that special right applies only to stockholder pa stock corporation. Obviously, kasi pag non-stock corporation yan, wala ka namang appraisal right yan. Wala namang stocks yan dyan eh. Ito, section 37. Section 37 talks about the power to increase or decrease capital stock. Naluluha. Decrease capital stock or incur, create or increase bond indebtedness. So, what you can see here, dito pinag-usapan, increase or decrease in capital stock, it only applies to stock corporation. Pero itong incur, create or increase bonded indebtedness, it applies to both stock and non-stock corporation. Kasi sa non-stock, pwede siyang mag-issue ng bonds. Di ba? If you can still remember, yung bonds basically utang yan eh, debt sa financial accounting nyo. Yung bond payable, di ba? Tawag din dito corporate bonds kasi corporation to. So, no corporation shall increase or decrease its capital stock or incur, create or increase its any bond indebtedness unless to may requirement. Pwede lang ang corporation mag-increase or decrease ang kanyang capital stock. Pwede lang ang corporation mag-increase or decrease, mag-incur, create or increase ng kanyang bond indebtedness as long as it is approved, such move, it's approved by the majority ng board and at least 2/3 ng outstanding capital stock at a stockholders meeting duly called for that purpose. Ito, additional requirements ulit, or yung written notice, etc. Basahin niyo na lang. Ito naman, a certificate must be signed by a majority of the directors of the corporation and countersigned by the chairperson and secretary of the stockholders meeting setting forth. Wait lang, before tayo pag-usapan dyan. As you can see here, this is also a power, express power. Yung isa, express power to, express power to lengthen or express power to increase or decrease corporate term. Ito naman, talks about the increase-decrease ng capital stock and sa bond indebtedness. So ito, stockholders meeting, additional requirement lang ng certificate. So, any increase or decrease in the capital stock or the incurring, creating, or increasing of bond indebtedness, ito, important requirement to, kapag mag-increase ka na or decrease ng yung capital stock or kapag, or in relation to the bond indebtedness, kailangan mo ng prior approval galing sa Securities and Exchange Commission. And where appropriate, galing sa Philippine Competition Commission. So, anong labot dyan ng Philippine Competition Commission? Basically, piniprevent niyan yung monopolistic situation sa ating business sa ating economy, yung mga monopolistic acts. Kaya nga Philippine Competition Commission yan to prevent monopolistic acts para hindi ma-compromise yung economic stability ng ating bansa. So the application of the commission shall be made within 6 months from the date of approval of the board of directors, which period may be extended for justifiable reason. So kapag na-approve na daw ng board of directors, ng stockholders sa isang meeting duly called for that purpose, then within 6 months kailangan mag-file kayo ng application sa commission and when appropriate sa Philippine Competition Commission para i-approve nila yan. Ito naman, pagdating sa mga non-stock corporation, they may increase, gaya na sabi natin kanina, hindi sila pwede sa increase-decrease ng stocks, but rather para sila sa pwede sila sa create or increase ng bad indebtedness kasi pwede silang mangutang, pwede silang mag-issue ng bonds. Dapat approve ito ng majority ng board of trustees and at least 2/3 ng mga members in a meeting duly called for the purpose. Bond issued by the corporation shall be registered with the commission, which shall have the authority to determine the sufficiency of the terms thereof. Now, additional notes din. Pag na-discuss na sa inyo yung special laws, whether sa seminar man or sa review, makikita nyo dyan yung power ni SEC. Oo, grabe yung kapangyarihan ni Securities and Exchange Commission. Dami kailangan. And one of these is yung mga bonds, yung mga securities. Yan, lahat yan registered yan kay SEC. Makita nyo. Ito, salient points lang. Electronic means ulit. Electronically. Need not set forth. Basahin nyo lang. Power. Kasi usually mostly mga requirements lang yan. The power to increase or decrease capital stock. Fundamental change to sa isang corporation. Bakit? Kasi pinag-usapan natin things, authorized capital stock Oo, yung authorized capital stock. Dapat which should be distinguished from the capital because the capital we're talking about yung assets ng corporation, etc. Ito, we're talking about the stocks, yung equity niya. The authority of the corporation to take such action is not to be implied but exists only when expressly conferred. This is an express power. Now, under Section 37, it prescribes for the procedure to be complied with. Ayun, nalala ko. Procedural requirements lang to. Itong mga mahabang notes na to. Mga procedural requirements lang yan. Okay. Provides for the procedural requirements to be complied with to effect a legal increase or decrease sa capital stock. Tandaan, not capital, kasi capital we're talking about the assets Yung capital stock, that's the equity, which is now subject to prior approval ng SEC. Even holders of non-voting shares are entitled to vote on the matter. So yan, tandaan nyo. Kasi, di ba na-list natin yung discussion natin sa general provision sa Title 1, Section 6, Paragraph 6 na kung saan there are only certain instances, di ba? Recap lang, there are only certain instances na kung saan kahit yung mga non-voting stocks, non-voting shares, gaya ng mga preference shares, pwede silang bumoto. One of those case is yung pag-increase or decrease ng capital stock. Yun, di ba? Under Section 6 yan. Now, there are limitations to this power to increase or decrease the capital stock. Yung una, kapag magdi-decrease ka, siyempre, pag nagdi-decrease ka, babawasan mo yan. Na, ang effect niyan, yung mga subscribers, yung mga hindi pa fully nakabayad sa kanilang subscription, edi, babawasan din yan. Or in some cases, may eliminate pa. So, with that, it will compromise the security ng isang creditor. Tandaan nyo, yung trust fund doctrine natin. So, yan, such decrease, hindi pwedeng mangyari if it will prejudice the rights of the creditor. Kasi, anong basis yan? Trust fund doctrine. Yung pangalawa, a corporation cannot issue stock in excess of the amount limited by its articles of incorporation because that is an ultra vires act. Alam niyo naman yan sa financial accounting niyo pa lang yun, sa accounting for partnership and corporations, di ba? Bawal yung excess. Kapag 1 million lang yung authorized capital stock, 1 million lang yung pwedeng ma-issue. Bawal kang lumampas. Ultra VRES na yun. A reduction or increase in the capital stock can only take place in a manner and under conditions prescribed by law. Corporation contains a provision to increase capital stock. The same has not yet been fully subscribed. Okay, notes lang yan. Kahit na may natitila ka pang unissued authorized capital stock, di ba? Kasi hindi mo pa na-issue yun, okay lang na mag-increase or decrease. Alhamdulillah. Okay lang mag-increase. Kahit na hindi pa fully subscribed yan, kahit namang may unissued ka pa. Bakit? So, with that, anong labot? Anong importansya ng pag-increase ng capital stock natin? Dalawa tayo meron. Increase of corporate assets and issuance of stock dividends. So, increase of corporate asset and increase of the amount of the capital stock may be the purpose of effecting an increase in the corporate assets by authorizing the creation of new shares to be offered and issued at fixed valuation, and the increase of fair value shares authorized to be issued. Basically, additional investment. Naghahanap si corporation ng additional investment kasi may paggagastusan siya. Kaya 'di ba, may mga corporations na nag-IPO, initial public offering. Ibig sabihin, kailangan nila ng additional funding, additional investment. So that is a reason, or one of the reasons. Yung pangalawang reason is for the issuance of stock dividends. The capital stock may also be increased without any corresponding increase in the corporate assets by the issuance of stock dividends. Like example, pag-usapan sa corporation na yung dividends na i-issue nila is not property, is not cash, but rather stock dividends. So with that, pwede silang mag-increase ang kanilang capital stock para may pang-issue sila ng stock dividends. So dalawa, increase of corporate assets basically for additional investment and issuance of stock dividends. So what are the ways to increase or decrease the authorized capital stock? May tatlong ways tayo. Increase, decrease ang number of shares authorized to be issued without increasing or decreasing the fair value thereof. So example, mayroon kang 1 million shares at 5 pesos at 100 par value kada isa. So pwede mong gawin yung 1,500,000 shares pero maintaining the 100 par value. Yung pangalawang way is increase mo yung par value without increasing the number of stocks. So yung 100 gawin mong 500 or gawin mong 200, maintain ka pa rin sa 1 million stocks. Ito, another way is pwede mo pagsabayin both the number of shares and the par value, increase or decrease. Pwede. Ito example, assume that the authorized capital stock of X Corporation is fixed at 1 million peso divided into 100,000 shares kung saan yung par value nila is 10 pesos per share. Capital stock may be increase or decrease or as follows. The number of shares increase. Dito. The number of shares is increased or decreased to 150,000, 75,000 shares, or decrease mo to 75,000 shares with the same par value 10 pesos each, or the par value per share is increased or decreased to 15 or 5 pesos, etc. etc. So illustration lang to. So ito, effect of reduction sa liability for unpaid subscription, basahin niyo na lang. Ito, this one talks about the power to incur, create, or increase bond indebtedness. 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 Silent, diba? Silent B. Dapat indebtedness. Okay. The corporate bond is an obligation to pay a definite sum of money at a future time at a fixed rate of interest. Diba? Bond payable. Napagdaanan nyo na sa accounting nyo. So, stock and non-stock corporation, business corporation, in the absence of restriction, may borrow money whenever the necessity of the business so requires an issue security or customary evidence of debt such as no indebtedness kasi may kailangan silang paggastusin So, kailangan nilang umutang. Procedure formalities to Section 37 dapat, 38, shares members entitled to vote, even gaya na sabi natin kanina, kahit yung mga non-voting shares or non-voting members, pwede silang or may say sila pagdating sa power to incur, create, or increase bond indebtedness, prior approval in sa SEC. Ito, basically yan yung sa yan si Section 37. Wag ka ang labot lang diyan kay Section 37 is yung pagdating sa ganyang questions, yung mga power na yan, ano yung mga requirements. Gaya sa amin, majority and 2/3 ng stockholders or members. Then, pwede na electronic form, ganyan lang yan. Wala yung problema dyan. So, next, let's go to Section 38, which talks about the power to deny preemptive right. So, another power to ng corporation natin. So, all stockholders of a stock corporation shall enjoy preemptive right to subscribe to all issues or disposition of shares of any class in proportion to their respective shareholdings unless such right is denied by the articles of incorporation, provided naman that such preemptive right shall not extend to shares issued in compliance with laws requiring stock offerings or minimum stock ownership by the public, or to shares issued in good faith with approval of stockholders representing 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock in exchange of property needed for corporate purposes on in payments of previously contracted debt. So yan, Section 38 talks about the power to deny preemptive right. But first, kinulang tayo sa boses dun. But first of all, ano nga ba tong si preemptive right? Now, in relation to corporation code, kasi meron ding meron din other application sa preemptive right sa property laws natin, sa co-ownership laws, sa property laws din yun. Pero in this context, ang meaning ni preemptive rights pagdating sa corporation code natin is this one. Whenever the capital stock of our corporation is increased and new shares of stocks are issued, yung mga new issues must be offered first to the stockholders who are such at the time the increase was made in proportion to their existing shareholdings and on equal terms with other shareholders of the original stocks before subscriptions are received from the general public. So, ang meaning lang yan, kapag mag-i-issue ka ng additional share, necessary? Kapag mag-i-increase ka and mag-i-issue ka ng additional shares, yung preemptive right na yan, meaning lang yan, dapat i-offer mo muna sa mga existing stockholders mo, sa mga outstanding stockholders mo. Sa kanila mo muna yan, una i-offer. Kapag tinanggap nila or tinanggihan nila, tsaka mo lang yan i-offer sa public, sa third person, sa other people. Yan si preemptive right. Uunahin mo munang i-offer yung new shares na yan sa mga outstanding stockholders mo at the time of the increase. Tsaka mo lang, sa kanila mo lang una i-offer sa mga outstanding. Kapag hindi nila tinanggap, tsaka mo lang i-offer sa public. Yan si preemptive right under the context of the corporation code. Ito, for example, if a stockholder with preemptive right owns 20% of the outstanding shares, he may subscribe 20% of any shares of stock issued by the corporation. Meaning, for example, may 20% ka, tapos mag-issue ng additional shares ng corporation of 100,000. Preemptive right meron ka. So 20%, 20,000 of those additional shares, pwede mong kunin. That is your right Preemptive right mo yan. Tsaka lang yan, pwedeng ma-offer sa public kapag tinanggihan mo yung right na yan. Sabi mo, hindi ko bet, bumili muna. Yan. Now, what is the reason for granting such right without reading this? Basically, for the protection of the ownership interest. For the protection of the interest ng stockholder. Yun lang yun. Yun lang yung reason bakit meron tayong preemptive right. For the protection of the interest ng stockholder. So, yun, pwede nyo basahin. Unaltered and per disproportionate interest, corporation, other words, etc. Ito, kailan hindi pwedeng mag-issue or kailan hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng bigyan ng preemptive right yung stockholders. Basahin nyo lang, share issues to compliance ownership, good faith approval, basahin nyo lang. So, yan basically lang si preemptive right. Pagdating sa preemptive right, ang itatanong lang yan is dalawa. Either lang yan sa dalawa. Ano yan? Si preemptive right and bakit yan ginagrant? Ito usually hindi na yan. Ito, Section 39, which talks about another power of the corporation, which in this case refers to the power to sell or to sale or other disposition of assets. Now, if you can still remember, sa Section 38, 36 natin, diba isa sa mga list doon is about the sale and disposition of the assets of the corporation, diba? Balikan 'yun. Ito na 'yun. So, sabi dito, subject to the provisions of Republic Act numbers 10667, otherwise known as the Philippine Competition Act, and other related laws, a corporation may, by a majority vote of its board of directors or trustees, sell, lease, exchange, mortgage, pledge, or otherwise dispose of its property and assets upon such terms and conditions and for such consideration. So, dapat may bayad daw. Which may be money, stock, bonds, or other instruments for the payment of money or other property or consideration as its boards of directors or trustees may deem expedient. So yan, pwedeng gawin ng corporation ang mag-dispose ng kanyang assets. Kailangan lang, generally, is majority votes ng board. However, if it is a sale of all or substantially all of the corporation's properties and assets, including its goodwill, then there must be authorized or it must be authorized by the vote ng stockholders representing at least 2/3 ng outstanding capital stock, or kapag non-stock corporation yan, at least 2/3 ng members. In a meeting or in a stockholders or members meeting duly called for that purpose. So yan pala makita nyo na. Simpleng sale, simpleng disposition, majority vote lang ng board. Kapag all or substantial o substantially all yung disposition, then kailangan na ng approval galing sa stockholders or the members. In non-stock corporations where there are no members with voting rights, kasi the vote of at least the majority of the trustees in office will be sufficient for authorization of the corporation to enter in any transaction authorized by this section. Pag may mga if there are no members with voting rights, kasi baka lahat sila is the trustees, etc. etc. So paano malalaman, sir, kapag yung sale is all or substantially all? Well, provided naman dito ni Section 39. The determination of whether or not the sale involves all or substantially all of the corporation's properties and assets must be computed based on its net asset value, as shown in the latest financial statements. So, ang sale or other disposition shall be deemed to cover substantially all ng corporate property. Kasi kapag all, alam natin lahat yan. Paano pag substantially all? Well, malalaman mong substantially all yan if thereby the corporation would be rendered incapable or incapable of continuing the business or accomplishing the purpose for which it was incorporated. So, malalaman mo basically kapag substantially all, kapag it will render the corporation incapable of operating. Oo, parang tao yan. Ang purpose ng tao, like in this case, in this context, is tumakbo. Kapag pinutulan mo yan ng kamay, makakatakbo pa rin yan. So you can say that is not substantially all. Oo, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin substantially all yan. Kasi ang purpose is tumakbo. Pero ang pinutol mo is yung kamay, makakatakbo pa rin. Pero kapag ang pinutol mo is yung from knee pababa, then that is substantially all. Kasi it rendered that person incapable of doing its purpose to run. So, i-apply nyo yung concept na yun pagdating sa corporation. If such disposition of asset will render the corporation incapable of operating, then that is substantially all. A sale or disposition of substantially all the corporation's property. Ito naman talks about the written notice, and ito naman dito rin appear ulit si dissenting stockholder, yung kanyang appraisal right. Ito naman, pwede naman na kahit na may authorization na ng stockholders o members, yung board at its discretion pwedeng i-abandon yung kanilang planong sale or disposition ng asset, subject to the rights of third parties under any contract. Noting this section is intended to restrict the power of any corporation without the authorization by the stockholders or members to sell, lease, etc., etc., business corporation, etc., etc. So ito, salient points lang, pumasok dito si Philippine Competition Act, si Republic Act 1067. Sir, kanina na-mention rin yun si Philippine Competition Act. Ano bang labot yan, sir? Diba? As we have mentioned kanina, it is to prevent monopolistic, basically to prevent monopolistic situations sa ating economy. So, a good example of that is yung telco industry natin. Diba? Basically, yung telco industry natin is duopoly, dominated by Globe and PLDT, kasi si Smart TNT under naman yan sa kay PLDT, pati si Sunry nata, di ba? Not sure. Si TM under kay Globe. So, yung mga Converge natin, yung mga Sky Cable, yung hindi sila, yung services nila, yung operations nila is not enough to compete with Globe and PLDT. So, basically, yung telco industry natin is duopoly. Ano to? Silence ko ng punto. Duopoly. So, kapag si Globe nag-decide na ibebenta yung kanyang properties, substantially all or all, kay PLDT, dyan na papasok si Philippine Competition Act, si Philippine Competition Commission. Kasi substantially, ang nangyayari dyan is magkakaroon na ng monopolistic situation. Kasi mawawala na si Globe. Kasi by selling or disposing all or substantially all of its asset, magiging or matitira na lang na mag-ooperate is si PLDT. Magiging monopolistic na yung telco industry natin kasi yung other hindi na makaka-compete against kay PLDT. So yan, in that situation, if it will make PLDT monopolistic, siya na lang yung matitira na dominant. Kasi si Globe, all or substantially all, yung dinispose niyang asset, papasok na si Philippine Competition Commission, pipigilan niya yan. So, example lang yun ng kahalagahan ng Philippine Competition Act. Another example, merger and consolidation. Like si PLDT and si Globe. In this case, nag-decide sila na mag-combine, mag-merger or consolidation. Tandaan nyo, pagdating sa merger, A plus B is equals to A or B. Kakainin ng isa, yung isa. Yun si merger. Tandaan yan, difference ng dalawa. Si consolidation, A plus B is equals to C. May bagong entity pagdating kay consolidation. So, additional note lang yun, tandaan nyo. So, yun. That's another importance ng Philippine Competition Act natin, Philippine Competition Commission. Like, gaya na sabi natin, si PLDT, si Globe, nag-decide na mag-merger or nag-decide sila mag-consolidate, magiging monopolistic yung situation natin sa telco industry. So, in that case, Philippine Competition Commission under the Philippine Competition Act has the power to prevent that, to stop that merger consolidation kasi it will lead to a monopolistic situation. So, yan, additional note lang yan to make you see or para masabi lang yung kahalagahan ng Philippine Competition Act natin. So, ito, electronic notice, etc., etc. So, the power to sell, lease, etc., or other forms of disposition ng assets of all or substantially all corporate assets, may requisites tayo dyan. First, it must be approved by the board of directors, majority, or the trustees. Ngayon, since we're talking about all or substantially all, kasi diba kanina, kapag hindi all or substantially all yan, like simple sale lang, simple disposition, no need na ng approval ng stockholders or na members. Boards lang, okay na. Pero kapag all or substantially all yan, kailangan ng approval galing sa stockholders, galing sa members. 2/3. Authorization must be done at a stockholder meeting stockholders or members meeting duly called for that purpose after written notice, pwede, yun, shall be subject to the provisions existing law. Illegal yung sa monopolies, and illegal combinations. Appraisal right, na-discuss natin to. The power of the corporation to acquire its own share. Without reading that, alam niyo lang pinag-usapan dito is yung concept ng treasury shares, di ba? So, to basa-basahin na lang to, provided the corporation has unrestricted retained earnings in its books to cover the shares to be purchased or acquired, a stock corporation shall have the power to purchase or acquire its own shares for a legitimate corporate purpose or purposes, including in the following cases. So, ito, pwede na dito. Example, eliminate fractional shares arising out of stock dividends. Now, I know na pagdaanan nyo itong si fractional shares pagdating sa accounting for for partnership and corporations, kasi itong si fractional shares basically fraction yung share because of some certain instances, situations sa kanyang issuance. To collect or compromise an indebtedness to the corporation arising out of unpaid subscription, delinquency sale, etc., and to pay dissenting or withdrawing stockholders entitled to payment for the shares under the provisions of the code. So, ang importante lang dito is yung fractional shares. Like for example, you own 250 shares, nag-declare ng stock dividends yung corporation of 25%. So, with that, ang madadagdagan sa'yo, or ang magiging total shares mo, magiging 312 and 1/2 shares na. So, yung 1/2 shares na yan, pwede yung bawiin ng corporation. I-acquire niya yan. Bakit? Kasi wala namang labot si 1/2 share dyan. Kasi wala yung voting right eh. 1/2 yan, dapat 1. So, since fractional yan, pwede yung bawiin ni corporation. So, basahin lang to, satisfaction indebtedness, payment of shares dissenting stockholders, ito other cases, section 9 treasury shares, yung previous redeemable preference share, di ba? Redeemable share. Ang nature niyan is di ba? Ang nature niyan is liability. So kahit walang unrestricted retained earnings, kapag redeemable na siya, kailangang bayaran. Accord to effecting stock, deadlock in a closed corporation, to later on pa to. Conditions to exercise, to basahin niya na lang. Trust fund doctrine. Na-mention nga ba itong doctrine na to? Na-mention na itong trust fund doctrine, di ba, last time pa. So, basahin lang to. Now, section 41 talks about another power ng corporation natin. It is the power to invest corporate funds in another corporation or business or for any other purposes. Di ba, na-mention natin kanina sa section 36 na the corporation, wala siyang karapatan na magpatakbo or mag-open or mag-start ng operation of another form of business that is different from its purpose. Di ba? Pero may karapatan siyang mag-invest in another form of business, investment. And ito na yon, a much more explicit explanation, section 41. So, subject to the provisions of this code, the private corporation may invest its fund in another corporation, business, or for any other purpose other than the primary purpose for which it was organized. Bawal siya magpatakbo, bawal siya mag-operate, pero pwede siya mag-invest. When approved by a majority of the board of directors or trustees and ratified by the stockholders representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock, or pag non-stock, 2/3 na members, at a meeting duly called for the purpose. Ito naman, notice, same ka sa kanina. Then, provided, kapag may descending stockholder, then appraisal right tayo. Another provided, that where the investment by the corporation is reasonably necessary to accomplish its primary purpose as stated in the articles of incorporation, then the approval of the stockholders or member shall not be necessary. So, anong example yan, sir? Example yun sa mga holding companies. Ito mga holding companies, basically, investment, about investments sila, or let's say investment corporations in general. Like, nandyan lang sila para mag-invest. Invest sila dito, invest sila dyan. Yun yung primary purpose nila. So, since yung primary purpose nila, mag-invest, then hindi na nila kailangan ng approval galing sa stockholders o members because the corporation itself is acting on its primary purpose. Mangangailangan lang sila ng approval galing sa stockholders sa members kapag yung investment in question is not in relation to its primary purpose. Yun. Doon lang kailangan ng approval galing sa members and stockholders or stockholders. So let's go to section 42. So sa section 42, mahaba to. Bakit? Kasi it talks about dividends. Or specifically, the power of the corporation to declare dividends. Now take note, since we're talking about dividends here, this only applies to stock corporations. Yung kasi yung non-stock, since wala silang stock, wala silang labot or wala silang power to declare any dividends. So, let's read. The board of directors of a stock corporation may declare dividends out of the unrestricted retained earnings, which shall be payable either in cash, property, or in stock to all stockholders on the basis of their outstanding stock held by them. So, kung ano yung outstanding stock nila, yun yung basis ng kanilang share sa dividends. Provided that any cash dividends due on delinquent stock shall be applied to the or shall first be applied to the unpaid balance on the subscription plus costs and expenses, while stock dividends shall be withheld from the delinquent stockholders until their unpaid subscription is fully paid. So in that situation, you can see two forms. Kapag cash dividend, kapag may delinquent stock dyan, ibig sabihin hindi pa nabayaran yung subscription na yun, then pwede yung i-apply yung cash dividends na yon para pang-cover dun sa delinquency. Oh, I know you can still remember that from your accounting for partnership and corporations. Kung anong ginagawa, may cash dividends ka tapos may delinquent stock. Yung cash dividends na yon for that delinquent stock, i-apply mo as form of pambayad kasama na ang costs and expenses. Ngayon naman, kapag stock dividend yan, tapos in relation to a delinquent stock, then i-withheld mo yan. Hindi mo muna yan i-distribute as long as hindi pa nababayaran yung unpaid subscription. Provided further that no stock dividend shall be issued without the approval of the stockholders representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock at a regular meeting or special meeting duly called for the purpose. So kailangan may approval kapag stock dividends. Ngayon, ito naman. Stock corporations are prohibited from retaining surplus profits in excess of its 100% of their paid-in capital stock. Sir, anong paid-in capital stock? Basically, ito yung binayad ng mga stockholders to acquire the shares. Yan si paid-in capital stock. Yung binayad ng mga stockholders para maka-acquire ng shares. Kaya nga paid-in, di ba? So, kapag daw, sabi dito ng batas kapag yung retaining surplus profits nila is more than 100% ng paid-in capital. Like for example, yung retaining surplus profit is 1,500,000. Yung paid-in capital stock is 1 million. Then the corporation is required to declare dividends. Kasi lumampas sila Lumampas ng 100% ng paid-in capital stock. However, the corporation cannot tawag ito nung proper word din. The corporation pwedeng hindi gawin yan. Kasi may exceptions tayo dito. Na kahit na lampas ng 100% ng paid-in capital stock, yung kanilang retaining surplus profits, pwede silang hindi mag-declare ng dividends, yung stock corporation. Kasi may exceptions tayo dito sa baba. The first one is when justified by definite corporate expansion projects or programs approved by the board of directors. Ibig sabihin, may project yung corporation na may pagagastusan siya. May plan siya dito, may investment siya. Tapos gagamitin nila yun, okay, that is a proper excuse para hindi mag-declare ng dividends. Another is prohibited under any loan agreement with financial institutions creditors, whether local firm, from declaring dividends without their consent. So, dapat may consent muna bago mag-declare ng dividends. And such consent has not yet been secured. So, hindi pa pwede. And lastly, when it clearly shown that such retention is necessary under special circumstances obtaining in the corporation, such as when there is need for special reserve for probable contingencies. Ang magandang example dyan is mga bangko. O kailangan may portion yan sila dyan for probable contingencies. So, what is the concept of dividends? I know, your accounting students, you are already aware about the concept of dividends. So, a stock corporation exists to make profit. Kasi ang non-stock, hindi. Ang stock, yeah, profit. And with that, to distribute a portion of the profits to its stockholders, kasi mga stockholders nag-invest dyan eh. A dividend is that part of or portion of the profits of the corporation set aside, declared, and ordered by the directors to be paid ratably, ibig sabihin pro rata based on their shares. Ratably, pro rata meaning yan, based on their shares, to the stockholders on demand or at a fixed time. It is payment to the stockholders of a corporation as a return upon their investment. So yan. Yan yung labot ni dividend. Yan yung return on investment ni stockholders kasi nag-invest siya sa corporation. Yan yung kanyang kinita sa kanyang investment. Yan yung nature ni dividend. Pero I know, alam nyo na yan eh, kasi accounting student kayo, ilang beses na yan napagdaanan. It is a characteristic of a dividend that all stockholders of the same class share in proportion to the respective amount of stock which they held. So, what is the distinguishment? Or what is the difference between a dividend from profits or earnings? Now, a dividend as applied in a corporate stock is that portion of the profit or net earnings which the corporation sets aside for ratable distribution among the stockholders. So basically, dividends, siya yung nanggagaling sa profits. While the profits, yan yung source ng dividends. Now, profits are not dividends until so declared or set aside by the corporation. In the meantime, all profits are part of the assets of the corporation and do not belong to the stockholders individually kasi hindi pa dineclare. Hindi pa siya na-consider as dividends. They may be in cash as well as in kind. Dividends received by the company, which is stockholder in another corporation, are corporate earnings arising from corporate investment. Now, in this case, ito yung situation na kung saan, diba, gaya na sabi natin, si corporation pwede mag-invest sa ibang corporation. So, with that, yung kinikita niya sa investment na yun will be considered as dividends. Kapag, of course, pag yung investment na yun, in-invest sa stock corporation. Now, if that's the case, then the corporation are received by a company which stockholder in another corporation are corporate earnings arising from corporate investment. Now, sir, if you can still remember, situation to sa accounting for corporations. Na, example, itong si corporation, may investment sa another corporation. So, yung another corporation na yun, nag-declare ng dividends. Now, itong si corporation, ang sasabihin niya, yung kinita kong dividends from that corporation, yun yung gagamitin ko pang declare as dividends. Anong tawag doon? Property dividends. So, yun, additional note lang. Now, ito naman, the power to declare dividends. The power of directors of stock corporation or the board of directors ng stock corporation, they have the power to declare dividends out of the, take note, limitations to or restrictions, unrestricted retained earnings. Hindi sila po. Diyan lang, pwede lang sila mag-declare ng dividends kapag may unrestricted retained earnings. Tandaan nyo yan, board exam question yan. Which shall be payable in cash, in property, or in stock. So, tatlong forms ng dividends tayo meron. Sabi ng section 42. Cash, property, or stock dividends. To all stockholders based on the outstanding shares held by them. Ibig sabihin yung pro rata shares nila. So, ito, stock dividends. In the case of stock dividends, gaya na sabi sa section 42, hindi siya pwedeng ma-issue without the approval ng stockholders representing 2/3 ng capital stock. Hindi pwede. So, pag cash or property, kahit boards of directors lang, goods na. Pero kapag stock dividends, hindi pwede. Kailangan may approval lang 2/3 of the stockholders. Other dividends, to gaya na sabi natin, majority sa quorum ng board, declare dividends, may declare other with approval, paid registered owners, okay. Dividends payable out of unrestricted retained earnings, kaya nasabi natin, di pwedeng mag-declare kapag walang unrestricted retained earnings. Now, under the law, dividends from other than the liquidating dividends, which is not a really dividend kasi nadideclare, parang ano yan siya pag tawag ito, for example, a preference, yung isang preference share. mayroon siyang preference right over liquidating dividends. Dividends, ibig sabihin, kapag na-dissolve na yung corporation, nag-liquidate na, priority payment siya. Kasi may karapatan siya sa liquidating dividends. But necessarily, they are not considered to be dividends kasi yung source nila is from the capital. Hindi galing sa profits kasi nag-dissolve na yung corporation liquidating na. May be declared and paid out of the unrestricted retained earnings to the corporation. A corporation cannot make a valid contract payment dividends other than retained earnings, etc., etc. Per purpose general rule, the capital stock may be impaired, depleted. Okay na, basahin niya lang. Ito, anong reason for the rule? Trust fund doctrine, security of creditors. The rationale is that the stockholders should only receive dividends from their investment and not from the investment itself. Tawag dyan, right of return, hindi right on return. Okay? Right of return, hindi right on right of return, hindi right to return. Kasi itong right to return, yung investment mismo, yung pinagkukunan. Pero itong right of return, yung kinita mo sa investment. Yun. Rule as to no par value. Di ba kapag alam natin sa mga no par value stock, tawag dito, sa mga no par value stock, wala tayong wala pag nag-i-issue tayo, di ba? Walang share premium kasi kung ano yung binayad, yun mismo yung shares. Yun yung mismo yung share capital. Wala tayong nire-recognize na share premium. Now, the code makes it clear. The code makes it clear that with respect to no par value shares, the entire consideration, including paid in surplus, received from the same shall be treated as capital and shall not be available for distribution as dividends. The theory is that the stockholders intended that all such consideration shall constitute the basic business fund of the corporation to be permanently devoted in the prosecution of the corporate business. Diba? Walang share premium na record kapag no par value share ang in-issue. So yan lang, additional notes lang tong si So, unrestricted retained earnings explain. The retained earnings of a corporation is the difference between the total present value of its asset after deducting losses and liabilities and amount of its outstanding capital. So basically, itong itsura nun. Retained earnings minus the assets, liabilities is equals to, bakit to may dapat may ito. Is equals to, di ba yung legal is equals to retained earnings minus the asset, is equals to the asset minus the liabilities minus the legal capital. Di ba yung legal capital yung hindi pwede galawin? Discuss natin in the previous video. So, yun. Yan yung retained earnings natin. Then, if you can still remember sa inyong accounting, yung retained earnings nahati pa yan sa dalawa. Na may portion dyan na unrestricted, may portion dyan na restricted. Yung restricted retained earnings depending sa kung ano yung situation, yung context. Like, for example, sabi na, dyan nila kukunin sa restricted retained earnings, dyan nila kukunin pambayad sa utang, etc. etc. Then yung unrestricted, since from the word itself, it is unrestricted retained earnings, then pwede nilang gawin kung anong gusto nilang gawin dyan, such as the declaration of dividends. So, additional note lang yun. Recap lang ng accounting nyo. So, such retained earnings or portion thereof are said to be unrestricted and therefore free for dividend distribution to stockholder if they have not been reserved or set aside by the board for some corporate purpose or some other purposes in accordance with managerial, legal, or contractual requirements. Kaya nasabi natin, yung retained earnings, nahati yan sa unrestricted and restricted. Ang pinag-usapan dito sa baba, yung reserve, yan yung sa restricted retained earnings. Yung unrestricted, dyan kukunin yung dividends natin. Ito, these are the items that affects the unrestricted retained earnings. So, yan. O yun, mga treasury shares, diba? Reversal proposition, etc. etc. Now, existence of actual profits or earnings. Now, in order to justify the declaration of dividends, there must be an actual bona fide surplus profits or earned surplus over and above all debts and liabilities of the corporation para ma-justify. Kumita yung corporation. Siyempre, dapat may shares rin dyan yung stockholders, di ba? Kumita yung corporation eh. So, dapat may shares din yung stockholders kapag magdi-declare si board. Now, let's go to the declaration of dividends.
Now, ano mga conditions bago maka-declare ng dividends? To accounting na accounting to, di ba? Yung mga declaration, recording date, then distribution. Now, a dividend declaration ordinarily requires the concurrence of two things. So, may dalawang requirements tayo, may dalawang conditions. The existence ng unrestricted retained earnings, kung saan manggagaling yung dividends to be declared and paid. And last, and second, a corporate resolution coming from the board declaring the payment of a portion of all or all of such earning to the stockholders. So, dalawa. Dapat may unrestricted retained earnings ka and dapat may resolution from the board ka declaring dividends. Now, additional requirements pagdating sa stock dividends. Nga ito, na-mention natin kanina dito na cash dividends, approval lang ng board. Stock dividends, cash and property, approval lang ng boards. Stock dividends, kailangan ng approval galing sa stockholders. So, and additional requirements, etc. etc. Ito, discretion of the board of directors to declare dividends. So, generally, nakadepende yan kay board of directors kung mag-declare siya ng dividends. Pero, siyempre, minsan nako-compel yan silang mag-declare ng dividends kasi baka, may mga instances kasi na, yes, discretion ni board. So, for this year, hindi sila nag-declare ng dividends. May mga instances yan. Since this year, hindi sila nag-declare ng dividends, yung mga stockholders na bad trip. So, pinull out nila yung investments nila. Bad trip eh. Wala silang nakuhang dividends kasi hindi nag-declare yung board. So, may mga times talaga na nako-compel talaga yung board of directors na mag-declare ng dividends kasi there's the danger na baka yung mga stockholders mag-pull out kasi nandiyan nag-invest sila para kumita tapos wala silang nakuhang dividends. Bad trip. So the board of directors has the responsibility to declare dividends and determine the time as well the amount. Kahit na may profits earnings not required to declare, court cannot compel in the absence of bad faith. Bayad muna utang or may pambayad ng utang bago declare dividends. Now, ito yung exceptions na sinasabi natin yung mention natin kanina, di ba? Na-discuss natin. Na yung mga stock corporations are prohibited from retaining surplus profits in excess of 100,000 of their paid-in capital stock. Kaya sabi natin, kapag yung paid-in capital stock mo is 1 million, yung retaining surplus profits mo is 1,500,000, so may excess ka. Excess yan. So since may excess yan, you are required by the law, by Section 42, to declare dividends. Now, may exceptions ulit dyan. When justified by any of the reasons mentioned. Di ba? Yung gagamitin mo for for future investments, capital investments, or tawag dito, gagamitin mo, mayroon kang kasunduan, contract with your creditors na hindi ka pwedeng mag-declare ng dividends without their consent. Yun. And another is statutory requirements, etc. Yung tatlong reasons sa previous sa section 42. Sige, balikan na lang natin. Kasi napag-usapan naman natin yun eh. Haba ng dividends. Ayun. Ito, corporate expansion projects kapag walang consent ng creditors mo and kailangan ng retention because of some contingencies, yun. So, yan Ano yun? So, yan So, yung discretion para mag-declare ng dividends, ulitin lang natin, kay board of directors galing. Pero, dahil nasabi natin, minsan nakaka-bad trip yan sa mga stockholders kapag walang nagdi-declare na dividends. So, in danger, because of the existence of danger na mag-pull out sila, minsan nako-compel yung board of directors natin to declare dividends. Then, if there's a situation na kung saan, sabi dito, na may excess of more than 100%, excess of 100% yung retaining surplus profits natin over sa paid-in capital, then Section 42 compels the corporation to declare dividends. However, may exception dyan yung tatlong reasons. Ano yun? For corporate expansions, capital investment basically, Second is yung consent galing sa creditors due to a contractual agreement. Pangalawa, reserve or retention for contingencies. Now, to. Payment of subscription from dividends. Ito, napag-usapan natin dito. Hindi ka obligadong magbigay ng dividends sa mga subscription na hindi pa fully bayad. Now, pagdating sa cash dividends, pwede mong i-apply yung cash dividends na yon to cover the unpaid portion. Kasama na yung expenses and Pagdating sa stock dividends, hindi pwede, bayad muna bago distribute. Liability of stockholders for illegally and directors for illegally received dividends, like for example, nag-declare ka pero wala kang unrestricted retained earnings. So that is an illegal distribution of dividends. Now, in case of dividends that are wrongfully or illegally declared and paid, there is an ample authority for the rule that the stockholders who receive them can be held liable to refund them to the corporation or its creditors. Immaterial ang good faith ng pag-receive kasi at the first place, wala kang karapatan to receive that. Wala kang karapatan sa kanya. Now, rights of the stockholders after the declaration ng dividends. So pagdating sa cash dividends, as soon as yung cash dividends are publicly declared, may karapatan na yung stockholders in relation to their pro rata shares. So yan, basahin natin. Sa stock dividends, the rule does not apply kasi declaration of such dividends may be rescinded at any time before the actual issuance of stock. Ito, illustration na lang. Basa-basa na lang. Ito, classes of dividends. Aware naman kayo dito. So, natin? So, cash dividends, payable in cash when the word itself. Property dividends, real or personal property. Like, for example, ang corporation nag-declare ng property dividends. Yung pinamigay sa mga is mga kotse. Yun yung pambayad nila. Stock dividends. Ito yung dividend payable in an issued, di ba? Or increase or additional shares of the corporation, di ba? Na-mention natin kanina, the power of the corporation to increase its capital stock. So, one of the reasons na mag-increase sila ng capital stock is to use that as distribution of stock dividends. So, dito yan, increase or additional shares to the corporation instead of paying cash or property. A stock dividend may only be declared only to the extent of the maximum number of shares authorized in the articles of incorporation. So, hindi ka pwedeng lumampas ng authorized capital stock mo. Kasi pag lumampas ka, ultra vires na yon. Optional dividends, composite, preferred, cumulative, basa-basa na lang, script, band. No. Effects of declaration cash dividends. When a corporation issues cash dividends, the assets of the corporation diminished by exactly the amount paid and correspondingly the property of the individual stockholder increase except effects. Illustration tayo, expect so basa-basa lang to, difference nila. So not much of a difference. So let's go to section 43. Now section 43 talks about another power of the corporation, this time the power to enter into management contract. So, ano tong management contract? Basically, itong management contract talks about one corporation being managed by another corporation. Tawag sa corporation na nagmamanage, the managing corporation. Tawag sa corporation na minamanage, siya yung minanage, is the managed, may D, managed corporation. So, yan yung management contract. So, sabi dito, no corporation shall conclude a management contract with another corporation unless such contract is approved by the board of directors and by stockholders owning at least the majority of the outstanding capital stock or by at least majority ng members in the case of non-stock or both the managing and the managed corporation at a meeting duly called for the purpose. Now, as you can see here, may difference, di ba? May napansin kayong difference. Na ang kailangan lang daw is approval coming from the na sa board of directors, alam natin parating majority dyan. Majority ng quorum. Na dito, ang napansin yung difference, di ba? Majority lang ng stockholders or ng members ang kailangan. Of both the managing and the managed corporation. Di ba? Kasi usually ang kita natin is 2/3. Pero this time, generally, ang kailangan lang majority. Now, may problema. Magiging 2/3 yan sila in some situation provided dito. Yung unang situation, provided that where a stockholder or stockholders representing the same interest of both the managing and the managed corporation. Ibig sabihin, may ownership siya sa both corporation, kay managing at kay manage. Ang tawag doon, interlocking stockholder. Na familiar ang term, di ba? Interlocking. Kasi na-discuss na natin yan sa section 32 or section 33. Yung interlocking directors, di ba? Familiar yung term. Ibig sabihin, on both the managing and the managed corporation, may ownership interest siya. Now, pag ano yung situation, owns or control more than 1/3 of the total outstanding capital stock entitled to vote of the managing corporation. So, ibig sabihin itong stockholders, may may ownership sila on both the managing and the managed. Ngayon, yung ownership nila kay managing is more than 1/3. So, yun. Then, another situation na kung saan papasok yung 2/3 rule, kapag where a majority of the members of the board of directors of the managing corporation also constitute a majority of the members of the board of directors of the managed corporation. So, dalawa yan. Ibig sabihin, ito naman, pinag-usapan natin dito is interlocking directors. Diba? Yeah? Sa una, interlocking stockholders. Dito, interlocking directors. Now, kapag yung situation, may interlocking stockholders tayo, tapos yung ownership sa managing corporation is more than 1/3, then may interlocking directors din tayo na kung saan majority sila, both on the managing and the managed, then kailangan na ng approval galing sa must be approved by the stockholders of the managed corporation owning at least 2/3 of the total outstanding capital stock entitled to vote, or kapag non-stock yan, 2/3 ng members. Tandaan nyo, sa managed corporation. Sa managed corporation, doon kailangan ng 2/3. Kapag present si interlocking stockholders or si interlocking directors. Now, this shall apply to any contract whereby a corporation undertakes to manage or operate all or substantially all of the business of another corporation, whether such contract, service contract, etc., operating related development, entered into, may pertinent to regulation. No management contract shall be entered into for a period longer than 5 years for any one term. So, ito, limitations to the power. Parang na-discuss na natin ito eh. So, the contract or the ratification of the contract must be approved by the majority of the quorum of the board of directors or trustees and ratified by the prescribed vote of the outstanding capital stock entitled to vote. In this case, 2/3. In this case, majority lang. Pero, kakailanganin na ng 2/3 kapag present tong instances ito. Yung interlocking stockholders and interlocking directors. As the case may be, in either of the two cases mentioned in yung sabi natin, kailangan na ng 2/3 ng managed corporation. Where the contract is between two corporations having interlocking directors, the contract must be complied with section 32. Period of the contract must not be longer than 5 years for any one term, except those contracts which relates to the exploration, development, exploitation, or utilization of natural resources which may be entered into such as may be provided by pertinent laws or regulations. Ito, managerial power under the contract. So, yan. So, basahin yan lang. So, ito, illustration, solid na lang. So, last section tayo, Ultra Vires Act. Ngayon, itong Ultra Vires, na-mention natin to sa previous discussion natin. Basically, meaning Ultra Vires acts that the corporation has no right or has no capacities to perform. Yun lang si ultra vires. In our own words, ganun lang si ultra vires. Acts for which the corporation has no capacity, has no right to perform. So, sabi ito, Section 44, ultra vires acts to the corporation. No corporation shall possess or exercise corporate powers other than those conferred by this code or by its articles of incorporation and except as necessary or incidental to it the exercise of the powers conferred. So, ultra vires and intra vires act. So, itong ultra vires act, it is a well-settled rule that a corporation is not restricted to the exercise of powers expressly conferred upon it, but has the implied or incidental powers to do what is reasonably necessary to carry out its express powers and to accomplish the purpose for which it was formed. Na-mention natin ito kanina pa. Section 35, dito ang tag dito, dapat HIJK dapat yan. Hindi yan dapat 11. Kasi yung 11 sa old code yan, pero sa new code natin, ang ginamit is lettering na. And 44 gives express recognition to these implied and incidental powers. Ito, na-discuss natin ito kanina. Now, according to the strict construction of the term, an ultra vires act is one not within the express implied and incidental powers of the corporation conferred by the code or the articles of incorporation. Ganyan sabi natin, ito yung act na kung saan walang capacity, walang right si corporation to perform. Yun lang si ultra vires. It is an act which is not positively forbidden but impliedly forbidden because not expressly or impliedly authorized or necessary or incidental sa exercise ng kanyang powers conferred. Acts or transaction within the legitimate powers of the corporation or are related to its purpose are said to be intra vires act. So, meaning lang yan, ang ultra vires act, invalid acts. Ang intra vires, these are the valid acts. So, ultra vires, invalid acts. Intra vires, valid acts. Ito, illustrations. A corporation was organized daw for the purpose of engaging in the buy and sell of home appliances. However, itong si corporation, nag-buy and sell siya ng motor vehicles. Na yan, makukonsider na sa Ultra Vires Act. Kasi although it is lawful to perform to buy and sell motor vehicles, pero this object is outside the object for which the corporation is created and therefore beyond its powers. So yan, Ultra Vires Act. Dito. Ano sinabi ko kanina? Ultra Vires Act. These are acts for which the corporation has no capacity, has no right to perform. In this case, he only has the right to buy and sell home appliances. Wala siyang karapatan mag-buy and sell ng motor vehicles. Now, ito, take note ha. Although it is lawful, tandaan nyo, ang Ultra Vires Act, it does not necessarily mean that it is illegal. Oo. Ultra Vires Act, it does not necessarily mean na it is illegal. Oo, kasi gaya dito, illegal ba ang pagbebenta ng motor vehicles? Buy and sell? Hindi. Pero si corporation wala siyang karapatan to perform that. Kasi hindi yan yung kanyang powers na binigay sa kanya. So, tandaan nyo, Ultra Vires Act does not necessarily mean na it is illegal. Ito, the buy and sell ng refrigerators, since appliance siya, intra vires. Now, a corporation was organized to engage in the business of manufacturing a particular product. Marketing and selling the product may be logically necessary to the business of the manufacturing, considering that there must be an end user for the goods to be manufactured. Seller, trader, dealer, importer of goods is necessarily or indispensably the manufacturer of the goods. Therefore, manufacturing cannot be treated as reasonably necessary to the business of selling. Ito. Basa-basa na lang. Enter board directors. Ito, gaya ng sabi natin dito, Ultra Vires Acts doesn't necessarily mean that they are illegal. When properly used, an Ultra Vires Act means simply an act which is beyond the conferred powers of the corporation or the purposes or objects for which it is created as defined by the laws of its organization. So, by itself, an ultra-virus act does not necessarily mean that it is legal, ha? Tandaan nyo. On the contrary, it may be lawful, moral, and even praiseworthy. Kaso lang, it is beyond the power of the corporation. Wala siyang karapatan to perform that. An illegal corporate act, on the other hand, is an act which is contrary to law, morals, good customs, public order, public policy, lamok paps. The buy and sale of contraband goods would not only be illegal but also ultra vires. Kasi contraband yan eh. Kontrabando. So the term ultra vires is distinguished from an illegal act, for the former is merely voidable, which may be enforced by performance, certification, or estoppel, while the latter is void and cannot be validated kasi nga illegal. Now, there are instances where you can ratify ultra vires acts. However, there are instances that you cannot also. Where the contract or act is illegal per se, ibig sabihin pinagbabawal na sa batas eh, it is void or in existence at the first place. It cannot be ratified or validated kasi void na eh. In existence contracts define na cannot also be ratified. The doctrine of estoppel cannot operate to give an act is null and void. Now, there are instances where the contract, if the contract or act is not illegal per se but merely beyond the power of the corporation, then the same is merely voidable and may be enforced by performance, certification, estoppel on equitable grounds. Ito, rules. Ito, medyo importante ito eh. So, the following rules are recognized. So, may mga instances yan. An ultra vires acts, while executory on both sides, cannot be enforced by either party thereto. Kasi wala silang karapatan to perform that because ultra vires nga yan, beyond their powers yan. It is in the public interest that the corporation do not transcend the powers granted to them by law and their assets be not subjected to risk created by forbidden acts. Bawal. Ngayon, etong instances na to, executory pa lang. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa executed. Di ba? Alam mo, di ba? Yung difference ng executory sa executed. Ang executory, wala pang ginawa. Executed, may ginawa na. Although, kahit partially yan, o basta may ginawa na. Dito, executory. So, since executory pa lang yan, wala pang substantially na ginawa, then, you cannot force them. Now, in this second rule, ginawa na. It is already executed. Ginawa na. So, when the contract or the ultra vires contract has been fully performed on both sides, then what happens? Neither party can maintain an action to set aside the transaction or to recover what has been parted with. So, hindi na nila pwedeng i-reverse yan. Hindi na nila pwedeng i-cancel pa. Kasi na-perform na nila eh. Wala na sila magagawa. Tanggapin na nila yung nangyari. The well-settled doctrine is that the defense of ultra vires cannot be set up or availed of incompleted or consummated transaction. Kasi alam nyo na, ginawa nyo na eh. The mere fact na ginawa nyo na. Yung ultra vires act na yan. It stop you. It prevents you from canceling that. Kasi tapos na eh. It is what it is. No public interest involved. Only the state may challenge the contract on ultra vires ground. O yan, as you can see here, merong exception. The parties cannot question an ultra vires act that has already been performed. However, the state can challenge that on ultra vires ground. Kita nyo? Dito, the parties, when the ultra vires act has been already executed, has been already performed, the parties to that ultra vires contract cannot question it. Then nila pwedeng ipaglaban sa korte yan. However, the state can challenge that. Ultra vires contract on the grounds of ultra vires. Bakit? Kasi public interest na eh. No public interest involved here since both parties have already received the advantage of the benefit. No public interest na. No public interest. Kahit walang public interest, pwede. Pero only the state can question that. Ngayon, ito naman, situation na to. Yung one side, pinerform niya na. Yung isa, hindi pa. Yung one side, ginawa niya na. Yung isa, hindi pa. So, ano mangyayari? Now, when an ultra vires hack has been performed on one side, and the other has received benefits by reason of such performance, recovery is permitted in most courts on behalf of the former, on the ground that it would be unjust to sanction retention of benefits coupled with refusal to perform. Kasi in this case, O yes, sabihin na natin, na-perform na ng isa. Yung isa hindi pa nag-perform. But since this is an ultra vires act, you cannot compel the other side to perform but because that is an ultra vires. So in this case, ang remedy na lang is recovery of what has been given. Okay? Kasi di ba? Ultra vires. So the other side, the other party na hindi pa nag-perform, you cannot compel them for specific performance considering that what is being done here is ultra vires. So since it is ultra vires, hindi ka pwedeng mag-file ng action for specific performance. So ang the only remedy you have is to file a petition for recovery. Bawiin mo na lang kung ano yung binigay mo. Kasi ultra vires yan eh. Other cause of the contract enforceable but compel the party to receive the benefits of performance. Ito, what has received failing to do so to pay its reasonable value. The doctrine of ultra vires cannot be invoked when it should defeat the ends of justice or work a legal wrong, etc., etc. It cannot be allowed to prevail, interpose against corporation to prejudice to party who acted in good faith. So, basically, yan yung discussion natin for Title 4 ng Revised Corporation Code. Ang next video would be the Title 5, which talks about the bylaws of the corporation. So with that, bye-bye. Love you.